me make sure we're going. You're situated. All right, let's do it.
Yes.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the show. This is the Doggone Positive Way. I'm Maria Ryan. I am your host and your trainer. And this is Crystal. And Crystal, I think you're multi layered for me anyway, because I found out about you through Chrissy, the pity hoarder, who volunteers for your rescue. But she also told me about you and Lantz Tucker, the Lantz Tucker Memorial, which is a 501c3. And I was like, she's like, you have to talk to her. And I looked and I was like, absolutely, totally. So, hi.
Hi.
And where are you right now? You're freezing, I think.
So
Where
no, it's not too bad today. So we're in Kansas City. I'm in Olathe, so just south
uh-huh.
of Kansas City. But it's supposed to be about 60 today. So we're not quite freezing anymore. So it's great.
Wow. That
Yeah.
is warm. It was really cold here, but I was talking to somebody up there. I can't remember, not up in Kansas City, but somewhere, in the north, and it was so cold and I was like, I can't even complain.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
nothing. I'm in Florida.
Oh
It got really
wow.
cold. Things died, like bushes and all that stuff died, but it's it's going to be like, 75 today, so
Oh,
and
nice. That's
beautiful
beautiful.
sunny. Yeah, it's amazing. So all right. So when when I first met and well, I didn't really meet her, but I was watching YouTube actually, and I was like, "Oh, the body language is really great." And then eventually I was like, "Hey, would you like to be on the show?" And then she told me about Positive Tales, and then in our last interview, she was like, "You've got to hook up with Crystal and a couple other foster parents." So yeah, so welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you
And
for having me.
yeah, no problem. And it's like at first I didn't know the Lance Tucker Memorial was about your son, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. So let's talk a little bit about Positive Tales,
Okay.
and we can then go into the Lance Tucker Memorial Foundation, because I think
Okay.
that's super important on multiple levels. But so talk about the rescue first with all the puppies.
Okay, so I started Positive Tales in August of 2015. And as of last week, we have taken in 8,734 dogs.
Wow.
So, yeah, I was hoping that by our 10th anniversary, we would reach 10,000, but we're just a little bit short. But we came close. I thought that was
You're
great.
such an underachiever. Come on. I'm just kidding. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's a
Um,
lot.
Yeah, and we don't have a shelter or a building. I run everything out of my home and we are entirely foster based. So, what that means is there's no location that people can go to see dogs. All of our dogs live in loving foster homes as a member of a family until they're adopted. And we think this is really great because lets us know the dogs on an intimate level and work on some training. So, we get to know if they're good with dogs and if they're good with cats and if they like to sleep on the sofa or if they're good in a dog bed or if they're housebroken. We get to know all of those little things about them. And that the reason that that's so great is that helps us to find their perfect family. So when we're talking to families, we know exactly what kind of family our dog needs and we can match those with a family who's appropriate for them.
Yeah,
So
it does really put a different spin on it when you can have the pets living in your house as a foster parent.
right, absolutely. And, we get to learn so much about them that, shelters have their place and the shelters work hard. And for the
Yeah.
most part, they do a really incredible job, but it's not a home. So we get to learn how they function in a home as a member of a family so that we can find the best family for them. And
Yeah.
we've got about 70 foster homes on any given day, not all active at the same time, but
Oh,
between
wow.
70 and 100, depending on, the day. But all of them are just so dedicated and passionate, and we are completely volunteer run. Nobody here takes a salary or makes any money. We do this because we love dogs and we truly believe in what we're doing.
That's amazing. Now, is this only in Kansas City, or are your foster parents like in the surrounding areas in neighboring states perhaps? Like talk about that a little bit.
So yeah, we are based out of Olathe, Kansas, which is where I live. But then we've got fosters as far as Manhattan, Kansas, and then we've
Mhm,
got fosters as far as Knob Noster, Missouri.
mhm.
So we kind of are all over the Kansas City area. I've even got a couple of fosters that we work with quite a bit in Wichita, Kansas, which is 3 hours south. So
Okay.
we kind of got them all over.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Are you pulling from shelters, or are people turning their pets over to you, or shelters like, "Hey, we've got so and so, or we've got this particular," like, are you taking any breeds, all breeds? I know Chrissy does, the pregnant mamas. Talk a little bit about that also.
Yeah, it really, I will take any dog that I can find a foster for. So we love our seniors, we love our neonates, we love our bottle babies. We've got I say, the best bottle baby team in the Kansas City area. They are just
That's amazing.
absolutely rock stars. They are. I don't do baby bottles or bottle babies because I love to sleep. But these women are just absolutely incredible. It's like
Yeah,
having a newborn, and you feed them
right.
2 to 3 hours around the clock. It's a lot of work.
Mhm. Yeah.
But we will take any age, any size, any breed. We work with Kansas City, Kansas Animal Control quite a bit, and Kansas City Pet Project are the two local shelters that we work with the most. And we've also
Mhm,
got a wonderful relationship with Wichita Animal Shelter, and we take a lot of dogs from there as well.
mhm. That's great.
And
It's good.
we do take a lot of owner surrenders as well, but I would say probably 60% of our dogs, 60 to 65% of our dogs come from shelters, and
Mhm,
the others are owner surrenders.
mhm. Okay. Yeah. It's really good to hear that, because some shelters don't wanna, like, deal with rescue groups for whatever reason, and sometimes I think it's a little bit more, difficult to have that working relationship if one entity is like, "Ah, we wanna keep all these," or whatever the situation is. So it's really cool that they work with you guys.
Yeah,
Um
we work with them quite a bit.
Yeah. So, okay, so now let's talk about Lance Tucker. You said he's right there behind you in the
He
photo.
is. There's one. This was his room that I'm in.
Oh, that's so sweet. Awesome. I love it. So
He would,
talk about how did this come to be? I read on the Lance Tucker Memorial site fund dot it's Lance Tucker Memorial Fund.org.
correct.
And I read that he passed away, and his passion for animals was just everything, and
Yeah.
not only that, but his, like, empathy for people too. Excuse
Yeah.
me. So I was excuse me, I'm still getting over that flu, by
Oh
the way.
no.
It's still
Oh,
there, it's still here.
it
um
was wicked.
Oh my god, it's ridiculous. I feel like I'm a baby, but it's was ridiculous. It's still here. I'm still like, oh. Anyway,
Yeah.
so talk about the foundation. Talk about your son, if you
So
don't mind.
Lance, no, not at all. I always love to talk about Lance. Lance was 22, and he was working, and he had a night job, and he'd work at night, come home about midnight. He'd hang out, play video games for a little bit, then he'd go to bed and wake up the next day and do it all again. He was super passionate about Positive Tales. He actually was my right hand man getting it all started. There was nothing Lance wouldn't do. He ran all of my errands. He was constantly running dogs to the vet. Owner surrenders, he would drive to wherever I asked him to drive to go pick up a dog and then deliver it to the foster. I mean, every day when he wasn't working, I had him doing something for the rescue. And
Mm,
he loved the dogs. He was so good with all of them. He was the guy that we used to introduce dogs, that were shy, fearful with men. He would be the one that we would use to help them learn that that was okay. He
yeah.
was super compassionate and empathetic, and he loved what we did, and he truly believed in the work that we were doing. Unfortunately, at 22 years old, he got off of work. He came home. He told a friend that his back hurt. He was taking an oxy and going to bed,
Mhm.
and I found him deceased the next morning in his bed.
Mm,
He, the toxicology showed there was no oxy in his system. The pill that he thought was oxy was counterfeit and was 100% fentanyl. We learned from his phone that he had bought 4 pills 3 weeks earlier from some random guy, as he said, at the club in Lawrence.
Mm.
And he'd had them for 3 weeks, hadn't taken any. He took one and it ended up killing him. So he is the epitome of the one pill can kill
Yeah.
movement. And I ended up speaking out about Langston's story because if this can happen to us, it can happen to anybody. There's this stigma that fentanyl is an addict problem, and that's not the case. Most of the people that are dying from fentanyl poisoning are people that don't know that they're taking it. They're the young, reckless kids who maybe make a bad choice and they decide to do something once and it ends up killing them. And, I don't know how old you are, but back in my day,
Mhm.
if we did something crazy and took big risks like that, and we might get in trouble with our parents, or if it went really bad we'd get in trouble with the law. But now the consequence for these kids is death, and it's
Yeah.
just too high.
I think we're probably around the same age because I think about the things that I did when I was a teenager and the things that I took and experimented with. And we didn't worry about that.
Right.
We did
and,
not worry about things being counterfeit or laced or, you know, all
and
those
kids
things.
today can't do that. The
No.
consequence for experimenting now is death.
Yep.
And this is
I'm
a
so sorry.
this is a war on our children's lives, and the only weapon
Mhm.
that we have to give them is awareness. They need
Yeah,
to know.
definitely.
So,
Definitely.
so
It's, yeah, it's a lot. It's a dichotomy, not a dichotomy. It's like for me, I have the opposite end. I have the addiction in my family. Like um the the actual, I guess you say, stereotypical drug addict, the oxys and all that, and heroin and that whole gamut. Whereas your situation and so many other situations are young people going out and just experimenting or using it as like, hey, I'm in pain. I'm going to take something, you know, one
yeah,
the way you're supposed to, or quote unquote supposed to. So,
right.
yeah, it's,
So because of Positive Teals, after Lance passed away, we announced that, and I asked that in lieu of flowers, that money be donated to Positive Teals. Sorry, in his name.
oh,
And we had almost $10,000 donated. And I thought, we really need to use this to change lives. His life has to matter. We've got to do something to honor him. I might, and I thought, what can we do with this? It's got to be something profound and special, and we need to honor the life that he lived with this money. So I thought, we could open a spay neuter clinic and spay neuter a bunch of dogs. But that just, it wasn't quite right. So I just kept mulling it over. What do we do with this money?
mm,
And one night I was laying in bed, that sweet spot where you're almost asleep and you have the greatest ideas. And
yes.
a conversation that I'd had with Lance in January, just 2 months before he passed, just came flooding back to me like a movie. I literally just saw the whole thing. And I'm very spiritual, so I don't know if other people believe in stuff like this, but I truly believe that Lance sent me that message. And the message was, their conversation was, I can still see him sitting on my kitchen table, and I was doing dishes, and the phone rang, and we were talking about football, and the phone rang, and I answered it, and I had this conversation. A trainer, dog trainer that we use for our rescue, had called and said, "Hey, I've got a client, and they've got an Australian Shepherd. His name is Pepe. He's at the vet right now. He's not doing well. They don't know what's wrong, but they don't have any money, and Pepe is going to die. Can you help them?" And I ended up
Mm,
saying, well, if they want to surrender him, then we can help. And I hung up the phone, and Lance asked what that was about. And so I filled him in and told him what was going on. And he said, "Mom, you have to help them." And I said, "Lance," he said, "Why are you going to take their dog? You have to just help them." And I said, "Lance, I can't pay bills for people. We're a rescue. We can't just go around paying people's
yeah,
vet
we're
bills."
not going to start paying out bills and
Right. I said,
and
we,
he's like, why not?
right,
He's
exactly.
like,
I said,
so why not?
and he did. He
Amazing.
said, I said, "We can't just go around paying people's vet bills." And he said, "Well, why?" And I said, "Because we'd go broke in no time. Like, that's not what we do. We can't do that. We can't afford it."
Yeah.
And he said, "Mom, if Kate," so he has a Siberian Husky named Kato. He said, I don't have any money like that. If something happened to Cato, I wouldn't be able to pay for it. So are you telling me I should lose my dog because I can't afford his vet bills? And he said, Mom, I'm sorry, I still get all emotional about this. He said, Mom, they're good owners and they love their dog. They shouldn't lose their dog just because they don't have money. Can't you please help them? And we did help them. I thought, man, he's wise beyond his years. So I said, yes. I called the vet. I said that we would help Pepe. Pepe got the help that he needed, and Pepe lived, and he's still with his family. And I thought then, with that conversation, I just knew that's what Lance wanted us to do. He wanted us to save lives and help people keep their pets in their homes.
Killing me, man. You're just killing me.
I know.
Wow.
I just love that story so much because it just really
Amazing.
speaks to who Lance was.
Just a different perspective.
Yeah.
Like we would think of that as like, oh, this responsible adult, I can't pay other people's bills.
Right.
And he's like, well, why not? Like, huh? Yeah, yeah. And I love that because it's so true. And he put his spin on it. Like, what if it was my dog?
Absolutely. He loves that. He loved Cato so much and he would have done anything to help him. But if he was facing a $4,000 vet bill, he's right. He wouldn't have been able to pay for it.
That's right. That's right.